What if, for just 1 second, gravity disappeared? No warning, no countdown. Just complete weightlessness across the entire planet. Every human, car, ocean, and grain of sand would suddenly break free from the pull that's held them in place since the beginning of time. In that instant, the entire world would lift. And when gravity came back, it would be one of the most violent moments in Earth's history. But before we float away into chaos, let's take a step back and understand what gravity really is, and why losing it, even for 1 second, would change everything. What gravity really does. Gravity isn't just a force, it's the silent hand that's been guiding everything since the beginning of time. From the moment you took your first step, it's been there, pulling you gently toward the ground, keeping you steady, keeping you safe. It's the reason rivers know where to flow, why rain falls instead of floating away, and why you can sleep at night without drifting into the ceiling. If you throw a ball into the air, gravity calls it back home. When you jump, it lets you fly for a second, but then reminds you where you belong. It's patient, constant, and unbreakable. Every leaf that falls, every wave that crashes, every heartbeat in your chest, gravity plays its quiet part in all of it. But the power of gravity goes far beyond what you feel. It's the invisible thread sewing together the entire universe. It keeps the moon circling Earth, Earth circling the sun, and the sun moving through the Milky Way. It's what makes planets round and galaxies spin. Without it, stars wouldn't form, and you wouldn't even be here to think about it. And yet, this mighty force is so delicate. It's not like a switch that turns on or off. It's a dance between mass and motion. Earth's mass bends the fabric of space-time, creating a cosmic bowl that everything falls into. You don't see it, but you live inside that invisible curve. Every second, your body is caught between falling into Earth and being pushed away by the planet's spin. That perfect balance is what keeps you grounded. Gravity doesn't just shape the land, it shapes life. It controls how your blood moves through your veins, how your muscles grow strong, and how your bones stay dense. It even guides the weather above your head, pulling water from oceans into clouds, then bringing it back down as rain. The air you breathe, the tides you surf, the rhythm of your heart, all follow gravity's steady beat. The moment gravity vanishes. At the exact moment gravity disappears, everything on Earth would keep moving upward. Why? Because Earth spins at over 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator. Gravity is what holds everything to that spinning surface. Without it, you'd fly off at the same speed as the planet's rotation. People would be thrown into the air like dust. Cars would drift upward. Oceans would rise as massive walls of water. Even the air around you would begin to lift, carrying oxygen molecules with it. Within milliseconds, you wouldn't just be floating, you'd be gasping for breath as the very air you need slips away into the sky. And it wouldn't just be you. Entire cities would momentarily rise. Every building, every airplane, every drop of rain, all breaking loose at once. But before you get used to your new zero-gravity dance, gravity snaps back. When gravity returns, 1 second later, the universe presses the on button again. And everything that had lifted is now falling. Hard. The destruction would be beyond anything humanity has ever seen. The cars that floated just a few meters would slam back to Earth with crushing force. People in midair would hit the ground at deadly speeds. Buildings would crumble as furniture, glass, and debris rained down from above. Airplanes that lifted slightly off course would crash back into the ground. It wouldn't just be a local disaster, it would be global. Across continents, billions of objects would fall at the same time. The energy released would be equivalent to thousands of nuclear bombs detonating at once, not because of explosions, but because of pure impact. But the worst part isn't what falls from the sky, it's what happens to the oceans. The oceans take flight. When gravity vanished, every drop of water was launched upward. The oceans didn't just ripple, they rose like massive liquid walls. Ships lifted off, and fish and sand spun into the sky like glittering dust. Now imagine standing on the shore. The wind stops. The sea begins to rise in front of you, slow at first, then towering higher than mountains. The sunlight bends through it, painting everything blue. For one haunting second, the ocean hovers above your head, silent and weightless. Then, gravity returns. The sea collapses. A wall of water slams back to Earth, roaring across coastlines. Cities vanish, islands drown, and the planet reshapes itself in a single thunderous breath. But gravity doesn't just move water, it moves the air itself. Air without gravity. Air doesn't seem heavy, but it has mass, and gravity keeps that mass wrapped around the planet. Without it, our atmosphere would start to drift away instantly. Oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, all rising like smoke. For that 1 second, the air would separate into layers. Near the surface, a vacuum would form, and your lungs would gasp for air that isn't there. Birds would lose lift and spiral upward uncontrollably. Planes mid-flight would lose balance and drop like stones when gravity returned. Even though the atmosphere would mostly fall back, it wouldn't return evenly. Pressure waves would ripple across the globe, creating hurricane-force winds in every direction. The sky itself would scream as the air slammed back into the ground. And if that sounds bad, wait until you see what happens to space. Earth from space. From orbit, astronauts would witness something terrifyingly beautiful. For 1 second, the blue sphere below them would shimmer. Clouds, dust, and ocean mist would rise, forming a glowing halo around the planet. Tiny particles of rock and water would catch sunlight, turning Earth into a glittering orb surrounded by chaos. But then, that halo would collapse inward as gravity returned, dragging everything back down. The sudden shift in mass could slightly change Earth's rotation speed. It might even push some satellites out of orbit. GPS systems, communication networks, and even the International Space Station could be thrown off course. The planet would wobble, just a little, but enough to remind us how fragile balance really is. The human perspective. For humans, those 2 moments, floating and falling, would be unforgettable. In that single second, gravity would show just how dependent we are on it. Skyscrapers designed to stand tall because of gravity would crumble when that force vanished. Elevators would detach, bridges would twist, and trains would derail. Every form of architecture assumes gravity is constant. Without it, structures collapse under their own design. People indoors would find themselves crashing into ceilings before falling to the ground. In open spaces, those near the equator could be thrown dozens of meters into the air. Even the smallest motion, like jumping or lifting an arm, could send you spinning. And when gravity returns, everything above you comes down: metal, glass, trees, and stone. The survival rate would be low. Those who do survive would be left standing in a world unrecognizable. After the fall. Once the chaos settles, the true consequences begin. Power lines and satellites would be destroyed, cutting off communication worldwide. Transportation would halt, cities would flood, and fires would spread from fallen infrastructure. The economy would collapse within hours. The planet's surface would bear new scars: massive cracks, flooded plains, and ruined coastlines. Scientists would rush to understand what happened, but there would be no clear answer. How does gravity, a universal constant, just vanish? And even though it was only 1 second, the effects would last for years. The atmosphere's pattern would shift, altering weather and climate. Ocean currents would change. Even Earth's magnetic field might fluctuate slightly, disturbing navigation systems. Could gravity actually disappear? Here's the good news: it can't. Not in the real world. Gravity isn't something that can be turned off like a light switch. It's a property of mass and space-time itself. For gravity to disappear, Earth's mass would have to vanish, or space-time would need to be rewritten. But scientists do study tiny variations in gravity, like when large chunks of ice melt in Antarctica, or when massive earthquakes slightly shift Earth's shape. These tiny changes prove that gravity isn't uniform everywhere, but it never truly disappears. So while 1 second without gravity makes for an incredible thought experiment, it also reminds us how deeply everything depends on this invisible force, from your heartbeat to the orbits of galaxies. The hidden lesson. If gravity disappeared, even for a heartbeat, humanity would realize how fragile our existence truly is. Everything we build, every step we take, every cloud that floats overhead depends on one silent, constant pull. It's not just about being held to the ground. Gravity creates rhythm. It shapes tides, seasons, and time itself. Without it, the entire story of life would fall apart. So maybe instead of asking what would happen if gravity disappeared, we should ask, what if we stopped appreciating it? Because this quiet, invisible force is what keeps the universe connected. 1 second without gravity would turn our planet into chaos and then leave it forever changed. But the fact that you're sitting right now, safely held to Earth, proves that the universe's balance still holds strong. If you enjoyed exploring this wild scenario, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more mind-bending stories about the universe. Because next time, we might ask, what if gravity suddenly doubled instead?